Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany and today I'm going to attempt a plan with me in this daily vertical Dutch door style insert from the 1407 planners. I will link this insert and a discount code down below. I'm going to be using some stamps today, so a lot of this is going to be sped up just because that's the only way I will be able to not have it be 6 hours long. And then also, just so you know, because of that, I unbound this insert, so I took the staples out and I removed the pages, and that way I'm just going to be working with one page at a time. I'm going to start with doing the outside edge. These sidebars in these inserts are visible all week long, which is really cool, and one of the things I really love about the way that these inserts work. So I'm going to grab, this is the two outside sides, and we are going to do a little distress ink. So I have, you can just use like a Ranger craft mat. I happen to have a whole pack of these silicone mats, which work the same way. It basically just makes it so that you don't mess up your surface underneath. And I have a Ranger distress ink tool, and I have distress ink in worn lipstick and picked raspberry, and I'm just going to see how this goes. So I'm going to start by masking the area off with sticky notes to keep the ink where I want it. One good tip here is to use new sticky notes because these aren't very sticky and I end up lifting the edge and going underneath it in one spot. I'm going to start with worn lipstick and then go over it with picked raspberry at the end to sort of give it multi-dimensional color. And you'll see here that I'm looking for a mottled kind of watercolor effect. You can get a smoother blend if you actually really ink the whole surface. There's that one, and then I'm going to do the other side. My best advice for distress ink is to just play with it until you kind of figure out how to make it look the way you want. I haven't actually used distress ink in forever, but I was really inspired by Katie, who's at Jolly Plans on Instagram, to give it a shot this week. Okay, I'm almost done with this one. You'll get a quick look of the finished product, and then I'm going to move on to stamping. This is the Goals and Habits set from Studio L2e. I'm going to do my best to tell you the different stamp sets as we go, but I may miss some. I will make sure they're all linked down below. So I'm just using the dot grid to line the stamps up, and then I pick them up with my block. I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black ink here. I love this ink. It does take a minute to dry, but it doesn't bleed through the back, and it makes nice crisp lines. You got a quick glimpse of pattern play there. I'm using this bow line stamp to make a border. It's not quite as wide as I want it to be, so I just take the ink off one side and then I ink up the other side and stamp that to make it longer. And I didn't push quite hard enough, so I end up filling it in with a pen. Now I'm going to take the star border from that same pattern play set. There happen to be 7 stars on this stamp, so I'm using it for a habit tracker. The box there is from the Doodled Boxes set, as you saw. And I'm just going to go ahead and make boxes with the stars underneath for habits during the week. This is me noticing that I actually have the stamps upside down. So I flip it over and I'm just going to do the rest right side up. I'm loving that I can have these daily habits on the sidebar, so I'll be able to see them every day, no matter what day I'm looking at in the planner. That's the reason that I decided to keep the Dutch door style for my dailies, and I'm actually switching to something different for weeklies next week. That little bow is from the Love Yourself set, as well as the bow box and the lashes that I'm about to use in just a second for this other sidebar. So I'm marking down my daily routines here, and I'm just wanting to keep track of some things that I like to do every morning and every evening. I tend to kind of squander that time, and so I'm trying to be a bit more productive in those first and last moments of my day. The morning and night labels are from the Headliners brush set, and there's actually a few different fonts that have the same words, which is really great. These little tiny bow checklist lines, I'm obsessed, and I actually use them all through the week. I kind of forgot I had them, and I found them going through my stamps, and I just love them. They're from an old set called Seasonal Plans Spring, and I should have checked before I recorded. I'm not sure they're still available, but if they are, I will link them below. So I'm moving on to my daily spread here, and I'm going to use the bottom half as a decorative place and a place to do a little journaling and note-taking. And on the top, I'm going to have my task list on one side and my events and dinner plans on the other side. So I'm just masking this off and using some flowers from the Flower Doodle set. You can see that I am fixing my mix-ups with this felt pen. I didn't quite get the stamp all the way to the edge, and you can see there's some stray ink there. That is from me not cleaning my block off and getting stray ink on the edge. I'm thinking about camouflaging it with a leaf stamp, but I decided that'll be too bold, and so I just sketch it in with my Flair pen there. And then I'm going to move up to the top half and start doing my checklists. I like to break tasks down a lot during the week on these daily sheets, so I have quite a few. And then I'm going to try to do a border between the top and the bottom. I actually cut it out, but I made a huge mess and I white out over it, and then I just use washi instead. On the right-hand side, I'm going to use some boxes from Clip It. That push pin one is going to be for dinner, and the bow clip one is going to be for my YouTube videos, and I'm going to keep that same purpose for the boxes throughout the whole week. One of the difficulties of stamping for me is that I have so many stamps, and so choosing something that repeats throughout the week so when I glance at it I know exactly what it is really helpful for me. This stamp is just something that's happening on Tuesday morning, and then I've got my YouTube stamp again. You can see there one of those other spots where I just got ink on the edge of my block. Using a block that's the correct size will really help with that. I haven't unpacked all of mine, and so before I do another stamping video, I'm definitely going to get all my supplies around so that I'm not making such a mess. I will probably always have little spots that I don't quite stamp all the way though. And this is just me adding a bit of doodles to the bottom here. Now moving on to Wednesday, and you'll see a theme. I'm basically just repeating the same type of decoration throughout the week, especially when I'm doing something every single day. It just helps me to not have to think quite so hard or make so many decisions. When you have a sticker kit, you've got a limited options, and I have so many stamps. So just doing this the same way helps it to be a little more quick. Those boxes are also from the Doodle Box set. The top one is for my weekly FaceTime with my best friend, and the bottom one is for church. And then I'm just continuing to stamp some decorative flowers in the bottom. The first one you saw is actually from the Spring Bloom set, so I'm mixing the two together, and everything will be linked down below. Moving on to Thursday, same plan, checklists, little washi border, and then some decorative items on the bottom. And this one I wanted to kind of have it look like it matched with Wednesday because the two pages face each other. So you'll see I'm repeating that style of stamps. These are all from the Spring Bloom set. This is me, once again, cleaning up where I didn't quite stamp to the edge because of the masking washi tape. This couple of stamps here are from the Valentine's set, and I'm using them to mark the fact that it is my 4-year-old's birthday on this day. I'm really excited to celebrate it with him. And then my YouTube and my dinner tracker, which makes me realize I completely forgot to stamp dinner on Tuesday and Wednesday. So I just go back and add those in. Moving on to Friday now. I think the key with stamping is just practice. I'm really out of practice. Eventually you kind of get a good feel for how hard to press and how to layer things, how to line things up. The layering is my biggest struggle other than the ink on the edge of the block. I add this little airplane in here for some flight information, but it doesn't quite work, and that big doodle box ends up overlaying the Friday label. Again, because it's just a daily planner, I'm leaving that, but that's something where I'm used to stickers layering differently than stamps. So without masking, it just takes a little more practice. Lastly, we're moving on to the weekend. I am in love with this weekend banner stamp. It's so beautiful. Spring Banners is the name of it, and I'm stamping it with "You Are Loved" because that's the day that we're having the party for my son who's turning 4. We've got a lot of travel happening in our lives right now, so that is an outgoing airplane and then a box for church on Sunday. I do have just one quick little line of tasks for Sunday just in case. We are coming into the home stretch here, so I'm using these numbers from the brush date set to add the date to each of these days. And this is one set that I highly recommend. It's so versatile. Even if you don't normally stamp, it's great for just adding dates to anything, especially if you use like date covers or undated planners. It's really useful. And the last thing I'm going to do is add a bit more color with some washi at the bottom. This is from a tube of washi I think I got at Hobby Lobby. So I'm just basically laying it down on the bottom of each page because I decided not to color in the stamps. And so it's going to be pretty monochromatic except for the sidebars and these little bits of washi on the bottom. So here we have the insert all put back together. When it's actually in the traveler's notebook with the elastics, it will hold it more straight and perfect. I just wanted to do a quick flip through so you could see the finished product and that you can see the sidebars all the way through the week. In spite of a few stamping errors, it's really hard to stamp on the floor and I'm out of practice, so I appreciate your patience with me. In spite of that, I think it turned out pretty cute, and especially for a daily where I'm only going to use each page for one day, I'm pretty pleased. So thank you again so much for hanging out with me while I tried to stamp every day of a daily insert. If you have any questions, leave them below. Thanks, have a great day.